Revelation is hard. It's hard in some ways because of all the images that are caught up in it, all the imagery, all the language, all the words, all the pictures that are there. Maybe not literal pictures, but the pictures that are in our mind. If we were to sit down together and ask each other, what does heaven look like? What does heaven smell like? What does it feel like? What will our senses tell us when we experience heaven? We might have a laundry list of answers. Some of us might actually pull answers from later in the book of Revelation, streets of gold and trees for the healing of the nations, one of my favorite symbols. Today's reading is John's glimpse of heaven, or at least the first one he offers. It's not a retelling of a new Jerusalem come down. It is John in the Spirit being caught up in witnessing heaven, attempting to describe it with all the limitations of the human body and human language. What did we notice when we experienced the text? When you either heard it or read it or felt it, what was the experience of heaven? What things jumped out at you? Were they visual? Were they auditory? We have been given pictures of heaven. There are things that I cling to and expect. There are people that will be amazed to see me. But John is giving us something else. I can imagine John standing there and looking around and going, "So, this is heaven. Not what I expected." So we pay attention to the things that are in it. When I lived in Indianapolis, there was a time when I was given the opportunity to do some intentional visitation ministry. That was the only part of my calling that the congregation expected. One of the individuals that the senior pastor pointed me toward was in the hospital. The reasons for being there are not important. The details will not add anything to the story. Suffice it to say, when they talk about their experience, they will tell you that twice they died. And then for 3 months, they were in a coma. And it was in that season of extended, unintended, unplanned Sabbath rest that I met this person. I'd go into the room twice a week and sit down by their bed, and we would talk. I would talk. And if they wanted me to stop, they certainly couldn't tell me in the time. For 3 months, 2 days a week, we would sit and I would talk. And then one day I came in and their eyes were open. Not just open, but they were smiling, beaming. And they were so excited because they had something to tell me. And for the next 3 months, every time I went out to see this person, they would tell me the story of the moments they spent. They talked about going into the sanctuary of the church where we attended. And they would say, it was the sanctuary, but it was different. Light was coming through the windows, but it was different. The colors were brilliant. They were beautiful. And there was song, but there was no choir. every time I saw them for 3 months, they told me of this experience. The beautiful sanctuary, the brilliant colors, the warmth of the glow on their skin, the music that tickled the ears. And it was worship. It was worship. What they kept coming back to was an experience of praising God, of being in the presence of the praise of God. There is a lot that John writes about. There's a lot of symbolism, there's a lot of color, and there's a lot of precious stones, and there's a lot of creatures, really amazing creatures. But in this depiction of heaven, the thing that is at the core, the central point, the thing that John is driving at, that this person who had been in a coma and woke up and just kept coming back to me with over and over again, was worship. Worshiping God, being in the presence of worshiping God. Now, in this moment, that seems an awful cruel thing to bring up because we can't be together. And yet we are finding our way in this scattering, in this diaspora, to worship, to be the body, the people. There is the work of the Spirit. There is the song that is beautiful. There is the warmth of the glow or the cooling breeze. There are colors. And there are even tastes. For we have eaten at the welcome table and received a foretaste of the heavenly feast. So, where is worship around you? Where is this slice of heaven at your elbow that when you wake up, you just want to tell people about? What are those moments of peace that pass all understanding? The things that words fail to capture and describe. The worship of God and the being in the presence of the worship of God. That's heaven. So this is heaven. And we are called to be part of it. John the Revelator is calling us. Christ is calling us. God is calling us. So this is heaven. Being church today. Thanks be to God, and amen.